Evening. Tewksbury Conservation Committee meeting tonight, January 2nd, 2019. Happy New Year. With that being said, first order of business is the minutes of the meeting.
We don't have any.
I'll entertain a motion we hold for the next meeting, please.
So moved.
Second? Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Exhibit A, continuous public hearing notice of intent. Christine Murray and Carl Donald Property Investments, 138 Arcel Street, map 10 lot 51, DEP number 305-1062. The applicant has requested a continuance to January 2nd.
16th, January 16th.
I'm sorry, January 16th, correction, yeah. Entertain, we'll file for a January 16th for the next meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Exhibit B, continuous request for certificate of compliance. Allen and Majority Associates Incorporated, 832, 836 Knott Street, map 51, lot 141, DEP number 305-988. The applicant is requesting a continuance to February 6th. Entertain a motion for so moved to February 6th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Exhibit C, public hearing notice, Manassas BTOG LLC, 231 Main Street, map 96, lot 53, DEP number is pending. Step forward, please. Could you speak into the mic, your name and address and sector both, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Andy Street. I'm with Civil Design Consultants, 30 River Street, Methuen, Mass.
And my name is John Finaris. I'm one of the partners involved in the project.
So I guess first, is there a quorum? Is there a quorum here tonight? Is this, there is a quorum tonight, okay. So, appreciate you having us here tonight. I'm here on behalf of Johnny to talk about this project. It's at 2131 Main Street. As mentioned, tax map 96, lot
Excuse me.
53.
Step right into them, pull the mic close so these folks can hear you back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So no DEP file number has been issued. It's been filed with them. It's pending. I believe it's waiting to clear revenue at this point. In addition to this proceeding with the Conservation Commission, will also be before the Planning Board on Monday the 7th, having both processes going at the same time. The parcel itself is approximately 2.6 acres with frontage along Main Street. There are wetlands in the northern part of the site, as shown by this green line along here. The buffer zones, including the 25-foot no disturb, 50-foot no build, and 100-foot buffer zone, extend approximately halfway onto the site or so. The site itself is largely degraded. There's a paved area in the front, which you can kind of see in the underlying image. That's an old paved surface. There's 2 curb cuts that lead to that. Behind that is areas that look to have been disturbed at one point. It's now overgrown. There's some wooded areas around the edges of the site. In 2010, this site had a different project brought before this commission and the planning board. It was approved by both. An order of conditions was issued. It was for a mixed-use retail restaurant. One single structure is what was presented and approved. The footprint was more or less the same square footage, roughly, than what you're looking at tonight. That project was approved. It got underway. I'm not sure the entire story, but something happened during construction, and the project was abandoned. So the site is undeveloped at the moment as far as structures are concerned. They did construct what appears to be some sort of detention basin towards the rear of the property, but other than that, there's nothing that remains from that development. The proposal in front of you is to consolidate the two curb cuts to allow a single access point, which leads to a driveway to access three standalone structures, two of which, this one here and this one towards the top of the page, will be townhouse-style units, 650 square foot townhouse-style units, and then there are some additional townhouse-style units in this portion here with a 2,000 square foot commercial space beneath that. So 19 units in total. There's parking for each of the units that will be in tandem for the unit itself, and then also a parking area along Main Street for the commercial space to utilize. We've engaged a landscape architect. The site will be well landscaped throughout the disturbed areas, and any other disturbed areas would be loamed and seeded as required. The buffer zones themselves, the wetlands were flagged by Norse Environmental 2008. I believe the site walk is Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? So Friday, there'll be a site walk. Norse will be in attendance there, along with the town's consultant, to review the wetland delineation. The buffer zones, as I mentioned, extend onto the parcel. The yellow is a 25-foot no disturb. The red is the 50-foot no build, and then the gray thick line is the 100-foot buffer zone there. There's about 25,000 square feet or so of disturbance within the entirety of the 100-foot buffer zone, 18,000 of which is between 50 and 100 feet. All buildings are proposed outside of the 50-foot no-build zone, and then there's a 6,500, 7,000 square feet of disturbance between 50 feet and 25 feet. No disturbance within the 25-foot zone. That's entirely off the table here, and again, no buildings within the 50-foot no-build zone. I should also mention that there's FEMA floodplain line zone AE is on this site. That's located in close proximity to the wetland line through here at elevation 87. The entire development is above that elevation as well, with the elevation being confirmed through on-site survey and topography. So no disturbance to FEMA. Stormwater for the site will be captured largely by a closed drainage system for all paved surfaces, as well as roofs, catch basins to manholes to subsurface infiltration systems. There'll be one here, and there'll also be one here that will capture all the runoff from the driveways and parking areas, as well as the roofs. And a third one is proposed behind this building here to capture the runoff specifically from that roof and only from that roof and infiltrate it into the ground. So with that system, we provide, they capture the water, infiltrate the water, treat the water, and then also either match or reduce peak flows to the wetlands for all required storm events. Those systems ultimately discharge throughout the control structures towards the wetlands, again, staying outside of the 25-foot no disturb, but those overflow structures are really intended to be engaged only in a worst-case scenario. The goal is to capture the water and infiltrate it into the ground. So O&M plans have been provided as part of your package. This property is also disturbing over an acre, so we'll be filing with EPA and preparing a formal stormwater pollution prevention plan as we presumably get nearer to construction. So there'll be additional stormwater management and controls through the construction process with that filing as well. I guess, as I mentioned, the site is largely degraded. A project of a similar footprint came before this commission previously, and ultimately, I believe the term in the order of conditions was the standard order of conditions, so it was a lot of your typical language. I didn't see anything that stood out as out of the ordinary during that approval process. That being said, I'm certainly happy to receive your feedback, address your comments as we work through this process, and the goal of tonight, despite there being no DEP file number, was to get some initial comments that we can ultimately roll into any subsequent revisions that may come about as we work through this process. So, thank you very much.
I see a lot of folks out there. This is a public hearing. And before the board comments, I would like one at a time, each and every one that wants to come up, 3 to 5 minutes, state your name for the record and so forth, so they all have a chance to speak on your behalf of this project. So if there's anybody here in the audience for this project, kindly step up one at a time and state your name and address and your reasons why you're here. Step right up, left of the podium, right at the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Christine Kilburn. I am on the Board of Trustees at the Tewksbury Townhouses, which I'm sure you know is in a butter right behind your proposed building. All our residents received your abutters letter. One of our concerns is your property line and, you know, mentioned your different levels of your building zones or whatever. So we would like to work with you as potential neighbors, and I'll be willing to speak with you and address it, but our property line is very close to yours, so we would like to, you know, speak further regarding that.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, is that, so we, as part, this is more of a zoning question, I think, than a conservation, but there is because the parcel is split from a zoning perspective, it's commercial towards the front, and of course, you're residential to the back, but because of the residential, we're required to keep 50 feet from the property line, which we've done so here, so.
We have 50 feet as well. So,
Correct.
do I anticipate then there'd be 100 feet then between buildings?
I would have to, I don't know how close yours are. If you're 50 and we're 50, then that would be 100.
So
yeah,
there is,
yeah.
there's a 50-foot buffer, if you will, between the different buildings that are there right now, the different units that are there. One is 51 feet, one is 53 feet. I have the plot plans.
Okay.
Actually, and we reviewed them. So if you have a 50-foot
Correct.
buffer zone, then we're talking 100 feet in between buildings, townhouses, neighbors. So that's something we would like to address potentially as neighbors, especially if a retail space is going to go in there, where there might be deliveries or something like that.
Certainly.
Perhaps a divider wall that could be maintained or something.
Sure. And I'm certainly happy to speak to you outside of this.
So
if you-
that,
we can
I think that
exchange
would be
cards
one
and-
of our biggest concerns.
Certainly.
As the townhouses behind there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, please. Anybody else in the audience on this project? I see nobody else. Ask for a motion to close public hearing, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Stefani, please.
So I only have a few questions or comments to start. We do have a site walk on Friday, so we'll be waiting for our wetland consultant to review before we make a decision on this. So that should be by the next meeting, hopefully. We're also having the town engineer review stormwater on site, so we'll just want to make sure that he's okay before we make any decisions. Sheet C2 is missing from the plan set. I don't know if you've gotten those yet.
Yes, since this filing, it's actually been recorded as well, so we can provide that copy, yeah,
Yeah, if
absolutely.
you just provide it with the revised plans, I'm sure there will be revisions.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
So my only comments right now is that I would really like to see some signage at the no disturb zone, specifically so that there's no yard waste and trash being disposed of behind the townhouses. That's kind of a problem we see throughout the town. And then in that front parking lot, there should be a sign that says something like no snow storage, just so that snow is not just being dumped into that wetland. I did a quick walk through the site today. I did notice a lot of trash in the wetland. I know that that's likely not from you guys, but maybe we could plan to have some of that cleaned up through the process. If this is a project that is approved, maybe we can work through just kind of cleaning up that wetland and cleaning up the no disturb zone. That's really my only comments right now.
Thank you, Sylvania. I have one, go back to when you were pointing out the discharge to the wetlands. Can you elaborate on that?
So the way we analyze this site from a stormwater perspective, both before the development and after, is as the wetlands is where all the water goes. That's our design point. So we are maintaining the general idea of water from the site continuing towards the wetlands. Only in the proposed situation, the development state, it's captured and it's almost exclusively infiltrated into the ground through the subsurface chambers. There is, as a mechanism for an outlet for those chambers in the event of failure or excessive storms, there's a pipe that I lost my pointer somehow, but it comes out of the system towards the wetlands and discharges in the general direction of those
Is
wetlands.
that the pipe you're talking about, where the riffraff is on your detail coming out?
That is correct, yes. There's two locations. So there's one location more or less in here, and then one that comes out.
D2.
Sheet D2. D2.
Is that the detail you're talking about?
Correct. There's flared end sections with stone, and the stone will help, again, we're not anticipating having designed this to have barely any water coming out, if any, in almost all storm events, but there is riprap that will be placed in order to help slow it down and dissipate it a little bit. Correct, yeah, I mean, per the regulations, we don't even need the riprap. It's so little flow, but we're providing it just as a way to make sure that scouring doesn't
Say
happen.
that you, on all your utilities, reviewing your drawings while you were speaking, have you gone before the town engineer for stormwater discharge and all permits that are applicable for this project?
We have not, well, we're going before the planning board right now. The town engineer will review those plans with them. Sounds like the town engineer is also reviewing these plans on behalf of this commission. All the permits that, we don't need a physical access here because it's the state's road, but all those permits would be obtained through the appropriate process, yeah. But we don't,
The reason why I'm asking is protection of the residents that are there, that when you put the so-called project up, these people have been here for many years. Our job is to make sure that you're 2550, and that any discharge that goes into wetlands,
Sure.
the volume of water going in there isn't going to have an impact on their homes
correct, yeah,
down the line.
those,
And that's why some of these people are here tonight. And this is what the committee here is,
Certainly.
your project going up. And then, so when you leave, we don't want to be holding a bag when you leave.
Certainly.
On a
Right.
dilemma.
Right.
That we want to try to get everything out in the open so that any applicable permits or where you're going from this point on, the planning board or board of appeals, wherever you're going, so that everything is in order, according to town ordinance.
correct, yeah, and it will be, and just to say it again, those systems have been designed to hold water and infiltrate water, and we've designed them to reduce the amount of water that goes into that wetland as compared to the existing state as it is today.
The reason why, like I say, I'm asking is because the town engineer will get involved on discharge, stormwater discharge, which is in effect in this project. Because according to your drawing book in here, you got a huge parking area between, let's say, buildings 1, 2, and then where your parking, your drainage, your storage, and so forth and on, going into the wetland area, which is to the right and a little bit to the left. So to make sure that it's safe, that all your utilities are going to be enforced in the proper aspect of the project.
Correct, yeah. No, and we have a good working relationship with the town engineer, and we'll continue to work with him through the process,
All
yeah.
right, thank you very much. Pat, please.
I have a couple of questions. Now, the red line is the 100-foot, the yellow is the 50, and the green is the 25?
So the green is the wetland line, and then
It's the wetland line,
is the
so it's
wetland
not
line.
the 25. So
Correct.
the yellow is the 25.
Correct, yeah.
The red is the,
50, red is the 50, yep. And then the gray is the 100, correct.
how much disturbance are you going to have in that area?
We have,
50 to the 25?
between 50 and 25. Well, between 50 and the limit of work, which is in front of the 25, is 6,500 square feet.
What's the total of the square footage in that area?
The total square footage of area
Just that
between,
area between the 50 and the 25?
I do not have that handy, I don't think. I can certainly provide that for you. You mean on-site between
The 50 and the
50 and the
25.
25. I would have to get that for you, which I can do. I don't have that handy.
Now, my next question is sewage. What is the...
So there is,
The town sewer with 30 pipes, one pipe? How many, what are we doing?
well, that has actually already come up with the town engineer about how we do this, but there is no sewer available for this project in Main Street. There is a sewer easement that runs more or less along that property line with the town sewer pipe in it, and we're proposing to tie into that pipe. And it gets piped down, I believe it gets piped to here, and then there's a force main that pushes it along Main Street. But right now, we're proposing to connect more or less this in here from the system.
Coming out of the Carolus?
I'm sorry, say it again?
That sewer's coming out of the Carolus?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is it going to be sufficient size to handle?
I believe it is, yeah. Again, we'll certainly be working through this with the town engineer. I believe it's an 8-inch pipe.
If I could add,
Yeah.
our town engineering department is reviewing these plans as well. So they'll be making sure that they can handle the sewage and stuff. They're looking at the stormwater standards as well. So this will be thoroughly reviewed by the engineering department.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. That was a major concern of mine.
And sewage, in regards to this commission in particular, where the sewer is actually, we're sending it as far away from the wetlands as we can. I understand the sizing of the pipe and things like that, but we're going, this way, over to here with sewage and away from wetlands as far as impacts to those buffer zones.
Now, this is really not for this board, but is the commercial space going to be a restaurant or?
There's no plans for a restaurant, no plans for a
It's not gonna
restaurant.
be a restaurant, so you
Correct.
don't need a grease tank or?
No
anything
plans of
else?
that, no. Again, that's something that's come up when working with the town as well, and yeah, we've made it pretty clear that a restaurant is not something the client is looking at here.
Okay. You haven't met with the planning board yet, correct?
We've presented this conceptually to them. We have not formally met with them. That will be Monday, the 7th.
Okay, just so the audience knows, there's a meeting Monday for the planning board. That's all the questions I have for now.
Now, the site's all sand, right? It's a beautiful site.
It was pretty nice. There was some pockets of it appeared to, I don't know how to describe it. It looked like maybe an old stump dump or some peat, but it was pretty far down when you got deep. My understanding is part of the problems with the previous development is they were trying to build on something that wasn't all that appropriate. And we had a geotechnical investigation done and have some recommendations on how to address that were it to be encountered. There was really some questionable material. It was kind of in the middle of the site, but other than that, it was very nice material, yeah.
All of the Carlos Way, that's all sand up.
Yeah, it was nice material, yep.
Worked out there years ago. No, I'm good.
With the proper approvals, you're looking to go this spring, start construction this spring? Is that what the
Question,
plan?
I think that would be the goal,
Yeah, I think the audience would probably want to hear the timing, if all goes well. No other questions?
Thank you.
So, for the notice of intent that you're filing, you will be coming back before this board again. At some point, what I'd like to see some utility site drawing plans from a plumbing engineer or somebody, see
Okay.
what you're showing here is partials, grading and drainage, etc. Take a little more into details to explain to the board and see, and the questions Pat had was, and I have, is after you visit the town engineer, so that we get everything in order,
Sure.
okay? So at some point, at your next visit, you have the C drawings, the D drawings. It'd be nice to see a site drawing and see exactly what's, the grades, what's going on. I see your details on D sheet, last sheet, but just so that we get a little better concept of the utilities itself.
Sure. We did, there is C4 is a grading drainage, and then C5 is utilities. I mean, we can certainly present that however you'd like to see it and be helpful.
So we get a good pictorial of what, it's nice putting up a pretty picture,
Sure.
pretty building. We want to see the interior, what's going on, the outside, the drainage, the infrared and so forth, all that stuff, want to see some of that.
Sure.
So that we know, I see your site plans with the manholes and valve covers, et cetera, while you were speaking, so looking at it. So just to get a little more complexity of the project itself.
Certainly.
This is a good-sized project here.
Sure. And we are working with an architect to come up with
Sure.
architectural
I'm sure.
design as this is
The
going on
architect
as
has
well,
people-
yeah.
Plumbers and so expect years people working for them.
Sure.
Correct.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that.
So,
I
yep,
understand that.
okay.
So, gentleman's looking for a notice of intent.
I think he doesn't have a DEP number, so I
Correct,
have to make a motion to continue.
Go ahead. Make the motion continue.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Second that,
Yep.
thank you. What time will you want to give them to come back?
When, it's up to
We're
you
going to
guys.
continue this. How much time
Yeah.
do you need, sir?
Well, I guess if we can go, yeah, well, I guess I'm just thinking through the planning process. I mean, I expect we don't have the engineer's letter yet, and I think that's usually the driving factor in a lot of the changes that we'll make.
We could put down continuation upon your investigation with the Conservation Commission.
Sure,
Okay?
sure.
And then you can work it out with Stefania, and then she can present it to the board.
Sure,
So that if you want a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's going to take.
yeah.
Because it might take a little time for you to get all your ducks in order.
Yeah, I think, do you think the wetland report would be ready for the next meeting? Does that seem unrealistic, 2 weeks from, I guess less than 2 weeks is what it would be by the time they have the site visit?
It's possible. I think he worked on this site the last time it came through.
Okay, sure.
So he should be familiar with the site. Yep, we could always continue to the next meeting, and then if you have to, continue again.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's just do that, yeah. So we'll be on the agenda. If we're in a position to return, we will.
So January 16th.
So, we'll continue this public hearing and notice of intent on the project of 2131 Main Street, continuing, as soon as we get the okay from you, come before the board, we'll continue again. So we're going to continue this here, the public hearing and the project itself, okay?
Right? Yep,
So can I get a motion? That's the motion. Motion would be to continue this here, 1231 Main Street, map 96, lot 53, now DEP pending the, no, we don't have that. Also, on this here, the summary that Stefania gave, items 1 through 5, would be that you're missing sheet C2, DEP number we're waiting for, town engineer, you're going to visit them, and the recommendations that she had made, okay? So
Sure.
that'll all be part of this continuation at the next hearing.
good, great.
Good with that?
I am, yes.
I'll make a motion to that effect. Can I get,
So moved.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Shuffle down some. Next item on the agenda, item D, extension request for the orders of condition, Mark and Paula Torchy, 390 Kendall Road, map 79, lot 74, DEP number 305-999. Seth Road, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. So, here to request an extension on my project. I am requesting 3 years, just in the event of unforeseen circumstances. However, I do believe that the work will be completed by the end of this coming summer.
Anything else? Okay, Stefania?
I don't have any concerns.
You all set?
I'm all set.
Okay, Pat, please.
I'm good.
No issues.
So you're looking for the three-year extension?
Just in the event that there's any unforeseen circumstances, but I really don't expect the work to extend past the end of this summer.
So January 21st, 2019. Yeah,
Yep, so it would be to January 21st, 2020,
2020, yeah.
2022.
So January 21st, 2020, they go with you to...
2022.
2022, they give you 3 years to get your orders of condition.
Yes,
That enough time for you?
yes.
Sure.
I hope so,
Okay.
at this
Well,
point.
let's put it this, let's go this way. Let me stop for a minute. Public here, we could have it for public, these people here. No, I'm gonna stop for 1 second. You folks in the audience, are you with this, are you...
We're just curious people.
Okay, so you have nothing to do with this project?
No. I can't even hear what he said. No.
I see you folks.
It would be good if we knew what he was talking about.
Okay, thank you very much. It's just that I don't want to go too far and say, there's 6 people out there just sitting there and, maybe waiting to get up, okay.
Right, I think those 3 people, but they really had nothing much to say.
Thank you. Okay, so, I'm going to make a motion, Mark, that we continue your request for the orders of condition for January 21st, 2022.
Okay.
Now, if he decides that he can get this done before that, can we?
So what, we want a motion to approve the extension request.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, if he finishes before, that's great. We don't have to make any motion of,
okay.
we're just approving it for the 3 years,
Right.
if that's what.
So you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Good, sir, thank you. Okay, so, we're gonna, on the extension of the orders of condition for Mark Torgy, 390 Kendall Road, map 79, lot 74, DEP number 305-999, with the request for a 3-year extension for January 21st, that might be the date, 2022. May I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You all set, sir?
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Old business, folks?
I've not.
I get nothing.
No monkey business, nothing, huh? Okay. How about new business?
None?
Quiet time of year.
Administrator's report.
I just have some permits that need signatures.
Okay.
Motion to close, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, oops, good. Yes, sir.
I have a question here.
Step up to the mic, please. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Greg Mann, 6 Monroe Circle. I don't know if this is the right time or place about the new school and football stadium that's going in. Do you have a time or a place when that's going to come before the board?
We haven't received any applications yet. I know
No.
it's still going through the design
Yes, that's all, I
phases,
just want to
right.
know.
So we haven't received an application for this board.
So that's when, as soon as you get an application, that's when you would be reviewing it and everything?
Correct.
Okay. Could I just ask a couple, just to try to get some information? It seems like I have to compliment you on all the boards that
I think the best thing would probably be to call my office, just because I don't even know if they've reviewed the new school, right?
Well, you should probably attend one of the school building committee meetings.
That's what I've been doing, and I have not been getting answers that,
I think, number one, that the school, this hasn't even been approved yet.
yeah. Well,
So we haven't, the town hasn't been voted at town meeting nor election. So it's in the design phase as far as I know. So we wouldn't get anything, you know.
I would just like to ask, like, a general question, because at one time, when the football stadium was expanded, it had a new practice field that was put in, and I believe that a board decided that there was a vernal pool there, and they forced them to go around the pool. Now, when I bring this up, they say that that doesn't matter anymore, and it's not on a map, and it doesn't count. And I'm like, how can something be approved as a vernal pool and then just disregarded, and they're just going to fill it in? That's what they were saying they were going to do. It happens to be right next to my property, so I was questioning about that. And then I asked,
I mean, if you have any information on that, I think the best thing to do would be to give me whatever information you have on that.
Yes.
Just because I don't have any information that there's a vernal pool on the property, but if there is, then definitely we would like to know that.
Okay.
But it's not on the state's GIS vernal pool.
so that's what it, so every vernal pool is listed on that map?
Well, if it's a certified vernal pool, it's going to be on the state's GIS data, and it's not. But if you have any information, I think the best thing would be to call my office, and we can talk about it, just because this board hasn't even received an application. So,
Okay.
I mean, we can't really comment on something we haven't received.
I understand that. I'm just trying to get, seems like I've lived on this property for 62, almost 62 years. Okay, it was my father's home, it's my home now, and I keep bringing up things to people, like, there's a pond in the back of this property, and the people in charge of this, they don't even know about it. They just like, oh, there's no pond. I says, yes, there is a pond. It's been there for 80 years. I believe it was there for 60 years, and I talked to somebody else who was there ahead of me, and they said it was there prior to that. And it almost sounded like they were planning on just filling in that whole area. Now, so it's kind of,
Yeah, if I could also say, I'm also working with the designers too, so any concerns that you have, you can bring them up to me, and I go to those, we have meetings with them, and I go to them and I bring up concerns that I have. I also want to let people know that we're going to have someone review this project when it comes through. So we'll have someone reviewing the wetlands. But at this time, we don't have an application, so we don't have anything to comment on. We just have all their preliminary designs.
okay.
So this isn't really the board at this time to talk about it, but when we get an application, yes, that's when you would come in and raise your concerns.
Would that be, like, posted on the town site as to when that
It
was
would
going
be put in the newspaper, and if you're a direct abutter, or if you fall within the abutter notification guidelines, you would be notified. I don't know if you are.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you would be notified when they would come to the board. But right now, we just don't have an application. So, I mean, once there's a notice of intent, then we have things to comment on.
Okay, I'm only
But-
only
If you
asking.
want to come in, you can call Stefania, and she'll keep in touch with you.
That would be nice, because the last board said that they were talking to abutters, and they had it in their minutes, and they didn't do it. They said that they sent out notices, and they didn't. But I'm a little bit concerned because of the fact that things have gone so far, and we didn't even really have a say into the site at all, and then now it's like it's carved in stone, and every board that we've gone to, they've already assuming that this is going through, and that,
At this time,
So I was-
I wouldn't assume that for this board. They're going to have to file with the commission. They're going to have to follow all the guidelines, all the regulations, the town bylaws. So it's not something that we would just pass through. They have to meet all the regulations, and if they don't, then we would work with them until they do. So it's not something that's just going to get.
but I'm very happy to hear that,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of, this place is completely surrounded by wetlands, and the way they're talking, they're like, no, it isn't, and one more thing, yes, you're in a floodplain, you're in a no disturb area, and they are just like, all the boards are just not paying attention to me, and they just keep on saying, no, everything's fine. And I just feel that we got a problem, and I don't want to, I'm trying to actually save the town money, because I don't think it actually should go through because of the simple fact of where it's located. And, but thank you very much for your courtesy. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All set? Good evening, thank you.